He's international touring sensation Black Guy Fawkes, and I'm his great value Viggo Mortensen. And together we are Fawkes and Friends. Today, the third friend who we're talking to about creativity and social justice is Cahir O'Doherty.
1, 2, 3, 4. From coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, what he got is fucking wrong. His land's not made for you and me. We're chatting built the wall as we tear down bottom stall. And watch our kids get slaughtered as they run straight through the hall. Let's go!
Ian, how was Canada? How was sunny California? Tell me all about it.
Canada was insane. Pouzzafest was wild. The shows of Laura Jane Grace were incredible. I was just so happy to be there the whole time. Ate a lot of poutine and made a lot of new friends and saw a lot of just amazing acts. Granted, my friends are proper, always put on a good show. It was a good time. And now I'm sitting here in Long Beach, California in an Airbnb, resting, get myself prepared for the next leg of this journey. I get to head to Punk Rock Hoedown here soon with Loris, Middle-Aged Queers, U-Box Romantics, 1876, who are incredible. And after that, I head to Nashville to play 2 shows there. I'll be doing a show at Springwater Supper Club. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then right after that, 2 years after that, I head to George Fest with some Pouza alumni, which are Dollar Signs and Devin Kane the Solution. So it's going to be a wild time. I got some bedazzled cutoffs made by Becca Green Watson recently. Thank you, Becca. Shout out to you. I love you. And we are in for a treat. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to be sad when this is over, but it's been real fun.
And then on June 2nd, I pick you up from the airport, and you can find both of us volunteering at the Punk Rock Saves Lives booth at Pride in Pittsburgh.
Yep. Come by, get yourself swabbed, come donate, talk to me, talk to Tina, talk to Rob, talk to anybody who you can while you're there. Let's make a difference. Let's get involved.
Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about Cahir. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch any of the 50 States in 50 Days documentary yet, but he's the breakout star. He's hilarious in that. He was great. Tell me a little bit about him.
He's a singer for Sleeping Soul Squad and out on tour with Frank. He's also Frank's guitar tech, too, who helped me out on the road when I needed some help with my guitar at Lost Evenings. And he is the quote-unquote self-described harbinger of doom. So you'll find out what that means later on in this interview. It gets real fun.
And let's not forget that he did also front Fighting with Wire.
And he also plays a band called New Pagans, too, who are really worth checking out.
So not only does this man fix guitars, but he shreds on them, too. Let's just skip the pleasantries and get into our conversation with Cahir. Joining us on Fawkes and Friends today, from the northernmost point in Ireland, we have Cahir O'Doherty. Cahir, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much for having me. What's the crack, lads?
Yes, good to see you again. Good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you too, Ian. It's always a pleasure.
The last time I saw you, you were trying to help me out and fix my guitar because it broke right before I
I
had to
was
go.
indeed. Hope we got that sorted.
Yeah, this is the 3 people who tried to make that happen. Because I was halfway getting my knuckles tattooed when Ian calls me and is like, hey, he thinks he can fix it if you get this thing. And I said, what thing? He sent me a picture, and I brought something. Apparently not the right.
Didn't quite fit, but it depends. It all depends on what I have at hand. You know, usually I have most sort of bits and pieces kicking around that can help. But unfortunately, I didn't have the piece. And then we got the wrong piece. And then these things happen. But you got sorted for a guitar anyway, didn't you? You had a guitar, like a spare or...
Yeah, I ended up using Michael Schnabel's guitar that night, so worked out well. But I appreciated both your effort and Ed's effort.
Of course, always willing to help. Always willing to help.
Yeah. Didn't you break one of Micah's strings too?
Yeah, last time I broke one of Micah's strings, I'm like, oh, fuck, I just can't play today at all.
Did he tell you how this whole thing started?
I think I give Micah a whole pile of like spare strings anyway, so don't worry about that. It's all good. I had like some extra strings, and I think I give Micah a few boxes, though it's all sweet.
Did Ian tell you how the whole thing started with him breaking his guitar?
don't think so. I don't remember. Maybe he did. I was like, stressed all the day. You know what I mean? What happened? What was the story? I can't remember anyway.
Basically, the story was I'm sitting outside House of Blues for like the first day of Lost Evenings, and I brought up my guitar just so I can like tune it back up to sizzle on the plane. And I meet a mutual friend Eric while we were there, and Eric said, It's nice PRS." I went, "Yeah, it's been sturdy. Had it for 2 years, has not broken since I had it. As soon as I'm tuning it up, the fucking peg breaks. I'm like, God damn. I'm freaking out about what I'm going to do. So I had to play that night with the band Water Tower. And then another drum mate there, Noah, he said, I talked to him, Cahir. He'll be able to fix it for you. I'm like, all right, great. Wait, which one's Cahir? I don't know what he looks like at all. So I'm just freaking the fuck out, like, oh shit, what I'm going to do next? And I just happen to see you and Sydney Souls outside. I'm like, all right, I know some of them. Whoever I don't recognize, that's probably him. Worked out for the best.
Yeah, always happy to help. Anytime.
As somebody who does this, who runs this part of the festival and the tours and stuff, how often does stuff like that happen to people?
Oh, I mean, not every day. So, I mean, most bands and artists that are on tour with us are usually, they've got their own gear and whatever. But if anything does go down, I always say to anyone who's on tour with us, if you need anything or if anything goes wrong, come see me, come over to Guitar World, don't be shy. It's all good. We're here to help make the show run smoothly. So but not that often, to be honest, which is good because it makes my job a lot easier. It's pretty stressful. Something like that happens with Frank live or any of this whole life at a show, it's like, you have to kind of, figure it out. We've had a few sticky moments over the years, but nothing really, show stopping. The show has to keep rolling. But yeah, you just never know. Honestly, festival, anything can happen at a festival. It's just the kind of throw and go. So you get like a 30-minute window to change over like an entire band, one band has to come off, one band has to go on. So literally anything can happen. If you get something down in your system or in your back line or a guitar goes down or something, I mean, it can be pretty nerve-wracking. You're stood in front of 20,000 people ready for a show and something doesn't work and then you're 5 minutes behind and, we've had a few sticky situations, but nothing show-stopping. Touch wood to date. So, but you just never know. This next tour could be the one. Please no. But there's enough of us there to kind of try and figure out between ourselves in case anything did happen. And we've backups of everything, nearly everything. Usually the tour runs smooth, but here now that I'm saying it, it'll probably be a fucking shit show next time I get out on the road. So. My fault now. I've said it. You've asked the question. It's fucking ruined. I'm getting destroyed.
Everything went well with California and with Vegas, though, right?
No major fuck ups. Everything was good. We're professionals. I say this and Dougie laughs at me a lot. I say this. I'm professional. Go wrong. But he goes, really? A professional? You think you're a professional? And we laugh about it. But everything went smooth. The shows were great. We had a great time. It was always nice to catch up with the Flog and Molly guys, and it was awesome.
I know you were just on the road with the Speaking Souls, not as the guitar tech, but as the lead singer of that. So I'm curious, how did that come about? Where you guys wanted to form your own project outside of working with Frank?
Well, I'd been in bands for years, and so I know the Sleeping Souls guys even before they were the Sleeping Souls. Right back. In fact, I think I put Frank on at a show where he met the Sleeping Souls when they were Dive, and that's how they met. So it might be my fault that the whole thing exists. So I know all those guys a long time. I was in a band called Fighting with Wire, and I was touring a lot, and that's why those guys used to play with us a lot. Frank and Million Dead and Dive. And so we're all old friends. And over the years, when I quit Fighting with Wire and I kind of moved them behind the scenes, we'd always kind of talked about maybe doing something. There was always that sort of chat to, we should do something. And then I started New Pagan with my wife, Lindsay, in 2016, 17, and around then. And so I started playing again, really, doing a band. And I think Matt Nazir and we were always writing together anyway. And we thought we would maybe do some, publishing stuff, write songs for other people, things like that. We didn't really think would be turning the Sleeping Souls record. And then sort of the pandemic hit. I think it was Frank kind of pushed us to do it as well. Frank was like, I'd like to hear that record kind of thing, you know what I mean? And we know how hectic Frank's scheduling is, and we're all in the crew and the touring family. So, we didn't think we would ever get the time to do it. But then the pandemic hit, and sort of Matt and I had written a few songs. And then we just, there was a few other ideas kicking around, and we thought, well, now's a good a time as any if we want to do the Souls record. And with Callum joining the band as well, he's such a great drummer, and we just thought this was the right time to sort of maybe do a Sleeping Souls project. So, I mean, a lot of it was we didn't really think about it to begin with. We thought, in terms of an album, we just thought we'd write some songs, see what fucking happens. I do. And then the album started taking, as we started writing, it just really started taking shape. And so we wrote lots of it on the road. In fact, the majority of it, it's a very sort of fractured record in terms of how it was written and how it was recorded. We wrote loads of it, like on the fucking tour bus, in dressing rooms, on Frank's tours, hotel rooms. We had a day off. And then we would record pieces on the road, and I'd send them back to Ireland to Alan from New Pagans, and we have a studio together called Badlands, and I'd send him guitar track. He'd reamp them, and then we'd go back home for 2 weeks, and fucking Callum and Ben would go in and record drums in Frank's rehearsal space, and we'd be, oh yeah, that's fine, next, and we were just trying to get over the line, and so we did not know how it would sound. We thought, what the fuck are we doing here? This is so fractured, as I was saying. Then we got a guy called Chris Cassich to start mixing stuff. I think we put out Liar Lover like a year before the thing, and that was the first track we kind of got together. I was doing the vocals, some of them here in this room actually, and then some in my old apartment in Belfast during the pandemic. And so it's recorded everywhere. And so they have that sort of coherent sound, as it was difficult to sort of achieve. We got a mixer called Chris Cassich, and he'd worked with Frank and the guys on Tape Deck Heart. And so he came in as a mixer, and once he sort of mixed the song, first couple of songs, we sort of realized, yes, this sounds like a fucking record. Holy shit, right. We actually have something here. We could actually make this work as an album, So we just started finishing the songs, and then Charlie at Extra Mile was like, love to put the record. We sent him some songs, and he was like, I'd love to put the record out, and then we just started working towards a deadline to release it, and out it came in November, and it was a really sort of cool experience to sort of be writing as you're touring, and sort of, there's, I guess, some expectation there with Frank's band. Everybody knows what Souls are, but like, also it was kind of weird going out on tour and not having Frank there. You know what I mean? Because he's like one of our mates, one of our best mates. So it was like weird not having him on tour with us. But at the same time, it was cool for me anyway, to sort of get back on the stage and front a band for the first time in like in 10 odd years or whatever. Of course, I got sick the week that it was going out. I got like a really bad cold, and I lost my voice. But I managed to struggle through it. But it was an enjoyable experience to sort of do that and get up. And with a band like Sleeping Souls, who are so fucking good, toured loads, having that sort of band behind you when you get on stage, it's like a different thing. I know how Frank feels now, when he's got the lads, backing him. It's like fucking brilliant, drop a note, and it's soulful, and it's tight, and it's all there, and it's good, it's enjoyable at this point. Until we all fucking get drug habits and fucking start wrecking the place. Turns on the Motley Crue, the fucking dirt. It's fucking basically 5 old fucking dudes, talking shit, just sitting around drinking coffee. the opposite of what the Motley Crue and the dirt is, Pipe and Slippers tour.
It's interesting that it got its start during the pandemic because, I mean, there's obviously not a lot going on that could be done, like touring and things like that. So that makes sense. One of the things, though, is like the Independent Venue Love series and all the stuff that you guys were doing over in the UK to support people who were functionally put out of work by lockdowns. What's been the result of that? Like, are things getting more back to normal in that side of the industry now that we've had a few years of shows and a few years of attempting to find the new normal?
Well, I think it's really difficult after something like this pandemic. I mean, being a new Pagans, that band is like, we're essentially a DIY indie band, you know, doing our best, struggling, trying to tour, trying to put records out, and it's really, really difficult. Things have suffered hard in the live scene, especially at that level. I mean, you still have your bigger bands, you know, dominating, but the ticket prices, cost of living, people's wages just aren't meeting it. And so it's the lower levels in the music industry that I find are really suffering, you know what I mean? Even mid-level bands or they all have to sort of band together to kind of go out in order to pull the people that they would have pulled probably themselves, you know, pre-pandemic. So I think it's really difficult out there. Even festivals are wary of booking anything sort of new. If you know what I mean, it's like you don't have as many sort of slots there for newer bands, and so I think that's having a detrimental effect on how the rise of bands and future headliners essentially are where that's at the minute. I think it's really difficult. You've got the same fucking 15 bands headlining every fucking festival around the world, and fair enough, it's because they pull, you know what I mean? But it's like there is no, it just feels to me like promoter, I know they've taken a hit, I know the venues have taken a hit, but like, you know, there's very few bands actually getting to the point where they can break through or make any kind of a living. I mean, I'm just telling you this from, you know, my point of view, but my band, New Pagans, we've been doing it now for 7 years and we cannot, nearly fucking impossible. One, to get anyone interested, to try and get a support tour. Something as simple as like getting on a support tour with a band in order to expose yourself. You really have to bring something to the table. If you can't, if you're not paying on and you're not bringing something to the tour, you have no chance. You know, and so agents even trying to get their bands to, you know, jump on festival slots or jump on a big tour support in order to kind of get those numbers up. It's so difficult. I mean, I have so many friends in that level that are just like, and bands are dying every day because of it. Think about this, your support fee in the UK is still like 50 quid, 100 quid. That doesn't put petrol in your fucking van, never mind hotel, never mind hiring a van, never mind a sound engineer, never mind food, blah, blah, blah. It just doesn't, it's just unsustainable. Totally unsustainable. And so it was kind of like that before, but at least you could sort of sell some merch and all the venues are taking 25%, 30% of your fucking merch. You know, Jesus Christ, where are artists supposed to get money? People are streaming your fucking, you're not getting paid by Spotify. No one's buying record unless you're up there, and even the bands up there are scraping, they're scraping the fucking barrel. It's so fucking difficult. And it's such a disappointment. I've been a part of the music industry or in the music industry in bands for years and years, trying to do it and trying to push forward and trying to pull in an audience and, you know, trying to make a living, a basic living, not like they're not like fucking Motley Crue, right? But like, I want a basic living. I'm a musician. I would like a basic living. Impossible, unachievable, unsustainable. I mean, I just don't know how people are doing it. And bands that are kind of doing that and are sticking in there and are holding their own are putting themselves in massive debt. You know, they're either taking out bank loans, labels are offering them ridiculous fucking 360 deals where they will never see return on anything. Publishing companies are coming and taking every fucking last penny for hit return. And, you know, it's a harsh reality of the music industry. I don't want to be out the harbinger of fucking doom, telling everybody to not can be in a band. Don't bother doing it. I don't want to be that guy because I feel it's going to reach a tipping point where I feel artists will just go, fuck no, we're not doing this anymore. We're not taking this. I mean, Snoop Dogg was on complaining about he's got like a billion streams and only earned like 37 grand from that. He's like, where's my fucking money? How your artist? I'd like somebody to sit down, right, and just literally a promoter, a record label, head of one of a major company, somebody sit down and go, okay, this is how you can make a living in music. I would like them to sit down and fucking explain it, because bands are getting told lies, flat out lies about the reality of the music industry. And you know what? People like to perpetuate it too, because like the myth that drugs, rock and roll, oh, cool, you get a hit song, man, you get that away, you're fucking bullshit. Everyone's got the handout. Everyone has a handout when you have a hit song goes out the fucking door. From your manager, your agent, your label, your fucking whoever else is your investor, because some bands have investors now. I mean, you can't, it's so hard. Even people are giving away their PRS. The royalty checks, it's like your BMI, your ASCAP, people are giving that away, and that's like your bread and butter. That's I'm a songwriter, I've written this song, and I have to hand out all this to, all these other people, and that's your only sort of source of income. If you get some radio play and you're playing live shows, it's harsh. I mean, I know I'm ranting and I'm getting a bastard, but I mean, it's why I'm a guitar tech. It's why I'm a guitar tech, and it's why I'm not like actively trying to pursue, which I tried again with New Pagans, and I was, and with Fighting with Fire, I was signed to Atlantic Record, one of the biggest labels on the planet. I was, put yourself in debt, put you in debt, and then they control everything, and unless you keep that momentum going and you manage to poke through, you're just shelved, and you spiral your career, all momentum halt, and people moved on to the next band, and so I mean, it's tough, very fucking tough. And any artist today, I have massive respect for them, because fucking hard game, and people need to hear more of the truth rather than the fucking glitzy bullshit. 1 in a million bands might experience. Struggle is real, And trying to just lock down fans, trying to lock down real fans is something that is sort of becoming more and more difficult with TikTok and streaming, and people are, it's just so fickle. Like, nobody is, I mean, the album is essentially dead. It's difficult, it's singles, and that's fine too. You know what I mean? There's some great music being made, don't get me wrong, but I just find that I'm hoping that we're reaching a tipping point on that. You know what I mean? Well, with the whole sort of Taylor Swift's a great example of someone taking the power back. You know what I mean? But look at how massive she had to become to be able to do that, to re-record her own albums in order to own the recording, in order to make money from them, to actually, go on those tours and just sort of dictate everything herself as an artist. And she knows what's best for her, because it's her fucking art. You know what I mean? And so what you find is there's a lot of people who think they know what's best for you when you're an artist, and you sign to a label, or you do this, you do that. And you know what? You should take everything on board, take advice, but in your gut what the fuck work and what doesn't. You know what I mean? And Taylor Swift's a great example of, hopefully more people will follow in her footsteps, and we can take control of, essentially, as an artist, it's our industry, not their fucking industry, it's our industry. You know what I mean? And it's for our fans, the fans of our music. And so I think Taylor Swift's a great example, and people slagging her off and stuff. I'm like, you don't realize what she's actually doing, what she represents. There's actually something really good. Now, I know she's a billionaire now, but I mean, she treats her crew well. You know what I mean? She seems to be a kind person, a productive person, somebody who's like in charge of her own career and her own path. And that's important for artists, I think, to see an example of that, being able to attain that thing. I mean, I would hate to be as famous as the Beatles, but what she's showing is that you can have a career, you can choose your path, and you can, write good music, and be your own boss. Anyway, you want to shut up now?
You-
Fucking depressed on you. Big up. Right. I'm gonna put my guitar down and get to fucking school. I'm gonna be a guitar tech. I mean, sorry guys. Sorry, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. All right, again, all great parties, all the time, loads of money. To Frank, not Warren, not to have me on, not Frank. Don't let the harbinger of fucking doom on your fucking podcast. Don't let the Irish darkness fucking cloud your. Look, I live in complete darkness here in Ireland. We don't even have light. We just have there's a fire burning over there somewhere. Fucking lighting me, you know what I mean? Whiskey and
What-
turf, that's all we have.
you brought up some really good points. Like for me as an artist, I do solo stuff. I have a backing band with me. But for me personally, I know that if I brought them out on the road, we would go broke, and it'll be hard for us to like stay in a tour off of that. The port is slot or not. But I
Yeah.
know I make enough for me to get by. I know that my band they won't work 9 to 5, so I know that they'll be covered. And if I'm out on the road, I know I can take that hit because I know I'll be capable of doing that. But I don't want to see them go do that. Just end up this while they have wives and kids at home too. So
Totally. That's a good example. I mean, I'm talking about from a band perspective. I should have probably said that. I'm talking about from a band perspective. I've always been in a band. I've never been like a solo artist, and I know that at the start when Frank was going out on the road, he would sort of go off and do a solo run himself in order to pay for the band to come out with them on the next run, you know what I mean? And so he built it that way, and there's loads of people that have done that. I know the Homeless Gospel Choir was doing that. Derek put his band together and stuff, and so, bands and musicians, the costing, like the whole thing costs, especially if you're like yourself, Ian, on your own, you're a solo artist, and then you bring some musicians out with you. It's like the cost, and it's hotel rooms and all, and feeding everyone, and so the burden is on you, and I get that as well. And so there's so many different ways to do it. I mean, the solo artist essentially, you could go out and sustain yourself on the road as a a solo artist, but you do always want to take it to that next step and bring a band next time, or and so it's just finding the ways to do that on like an indie label or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like it's tough out there, and also it's just like it just seems that you get these fads, you get these sort of fads of music that come in and just sweep everything else out of the way for the moment. You know what I mean? And then if you're a band of the moment, that's great because you can kind of ride the wave. And if you're not, the struggle is real again. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a tough industry to try and sort of crack at any side you come at it from. You know what I mean? There are challenges across the board. But one place that is definitely not is to be a DJ. I mean, we should all just be DJs because DJs in Europe, they get paid fucking millions to come and play a fucking playlist. And I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, I should just put some good playlists together and just fucking, become a DJ or a dance producer and just do some remixes and shit. Maybe get into that. There's a lot of money in that shit, especially in like Germany. They love a good sort of beat in Germany, like dance beat, EDM. That's what you call it in the States.
There you go, Ian. New plan is going to be Funkmaster Fawkes now. We're going to rebrand you. You got
Funkmaster Fawkes. Fucking great DJ name. That's the fuck. Great name, Funkmaster Fawkes. Fucking down with that.
our best playlist of all time. The best playlist of all time.
This is going to be dirty old blues that I feed you.
Right.
It's gonna be dubstep and Hoobastank. Like that's just for between.
Dubstep remixes of Hoobastank. And the reason is...
Class. I'm down with that, hey.
Ugh.
You need someone to carry your record bag, I'm there. If you need someone to carry your record bag, I'm in. Fucking hit me up. Fuck Frank's guitars. I'll carry your record bag.
You're hired. So since besides running I know you handle guitars for Frank and everything, but what's your rig? What do you use? Well, why are you playing with the Souls or why are you playing with New Pagans?
Oh, I'm a telly man. Telecaster. I have a US telly. I have a few US tellies. That's my weapon of choice. I absolutely love it. I am a telly lad through and through. I just think it's such a versatile guitar. I mean, you can be heavy as fuck on it, and also you have those softer moments, and you can get gritty. It's just I just love it. I have a friend of mine, Mickey Linden. He lives in Belfast. He's a science teacher, and Mickey and his pal Keelan, they make pickups, and so they made me my own custom pickup, which we call the Dirty Brute, and I have those in all my guitars, and they're fucking great. And they had started like a pickup company, and they were making pickups for a few years, and then nobody gave a shit because we don't have a famous guitar player playing good pickups. I was all sorry, lads. I mean, so I have those pickups, custom jobbies, and all my guitars, but they're very close to the standard Fender ones, so I do like the sound of those. Just a wee bit hotter, just to wind a wee bit tighter. And I've got a Les Paul Jr. that I picked up a few years ago in Canada in a shop in Toronto, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. It's got a P90, and I used to play SG Junior years ago in my old band, Jet Plane Landing, like 20 years ago, and that was my sort of go-to, the P90, with my a Marshall 900, and I've got an old 70s Marshall angle cab, greenbacks on it, and it's nasty, dirty. It's versatile, and my old band, Fighting with Wire, was like a 3-piece, so the telly was great for doing sort of riffs, and then there was sliding off on the little picky parts while the bass kept all the root notes going, and so you could do all that, and the telly, it was just fucking great for that. You know what I mean? So I'm a Telecaster fan, big time. Like, you know, I just think it's the most versatile guitar out there. But for the studio, P90s. I mean, Gibson's fucking great in the studio. I use tellies sort of for more rhythm tracks. I mean, all the big stuff, all the riffs, all is like fucking the Junior and the P90.
As the person who bought a $50 guitar during the pandemic, tried to learn it once and then never picked it up again, what is a pickup? Because like that clearly is a thing, and I don't know what it is, and I'm gonna ask. Like
What
custom
is a pickup?
Yeah.
I'll show you right now. This is the pickup. My Les Paul Jr., which I absolutely adore. This is your P90s here, but I just use this one. I've never really used this here. This basically is like your sound hole in your acoustic guitar. It amplifies your sound. You plug it into your amp, and that's the thing that is your sound hole, essentially. It makes go, ah. And so it all depends on how you wind your pickups, as Mickey says to me, you know what I mean? Kind of like a fine art. That's why he makes me. Sometimes the first sort of the versions of the Dirty Brutes were kind of wound really hot. And so you would just play it and it would be like, you know, fucking overload. So I was like, too hot, too crazy. And so getting that right, getting that balance right is important. But they're basically magnets and they're wound. And what that does is that changes your signal, gets you fucking rocking. You plug it in, turn it up, and away you go. And you know what? People are obsessed with pickups. I'm not really that obsessed, which is why sort of Mickey wanted, he wanted to sort of, you should have your own pickups. I'm all, really? I'm kind of the guy, I come from the sort of Kurt Cobain school of guitaring, where it's just like, does it fucking work? Yes, right, let's go. And so people obsessed with pickups. I mean, if you want to talk pickups, you should talk to Ben Lloyd from Frank's band, from Stupid Soul. But me, I'm very much I'm basic of it. I'll turn it on. I know I love P90s because they're kind of ridiculous. So when you plug them in, they're single coil. You plug it in, they buzz, they go, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, you're in for a fucking rough, fantastic time. You can go humbuckers, which are sort of more, you can go, you know, you go across the board and find the pickup that suits your style of playing. But that's real nerd alert stuff. I mean, I know I'm a guitar tech, right? But I'm not like the guy that follows all the sites, you know, sits and goes, yes, I must buy that one. And I'm not that nerd alert about it. I'm sort of like, I know how to fix it. If it breaks, I can fix it. If it's fucking if it goes down, you know what I mean, I'll put it together. But realistically, I'm the guy that likes to I like to play guitars more than fix. If I'm in sort of dire straits, I'll go to a proper luthier and go, fix this, please. Go, yes, I can keep the show on the road. But when it comes to guitar care, I'll go to a luthier, a proper, guitar builder who understands what the fucking do properly. You know what I mean? And not a lot of guitar techs out there will admit that. You know who you are, guitar techs out there that won't admit that.
Ian, what do you use?
As of now, so the main guitar I use, acoustic, I use a PRS Parlor. I love how just how small bodied it is and just fits what I do currently. I've been trying to go all PRS recently. I just got their Starlord. And it's like it's like a Les Paul body, but it's like half the weight of it. And for me, that's perfect because it's sturdy enough so I can throw it around and also stay in tune, but it's not too heavy or just like way down on my back. I love it. And I run into this on my friend Scott just gave me a Vox 1830 that I just fell in love with.
And have you got a piezo in that? Is it a piezo? Was it sitting under your bridge? The pickup on your guitar? The piezo, isn't it? Yeah.
Actually,
it's the little strip that sits on. There's a couple of different sort of acoustic. So pickups on acoustic guitars are a whole other fucking nightmare. So sometimes you can have the ones that look like that pickup I just showed you that sit over the sound hole. Other ones can be like a mic inside the sound hole. And then there's like the piezo, which kind of sit in. So you take out your bridge and the piezo sits in underneath. It's just like a little strip and it connects through. And essentially that amplifies. It's like a live mic, essentially, you know what I mean, on your bridge. And that takes the resonant tone from the body of the guitar. So there's, again, the world of pickups is like it's like a minefield. You're like, oh, I'd never really worked with acoustic guitars either before. So working with Frank and his acoustics was a whole new learning experience for me. But it's cool, you get to know these things as you go along. It's every day there's something new, and there's always new technology coming out as well. They're just, you're like, oh, this. And I've never seen that before. So it's cool. And it's getting better all the time.
All the talk about sound holes makes me want to start a punk string quartet now called Sound Hole.
Sound Hole is I think you should.
Yeah.
Like, why does that not exist already? What the fuck is
Free
going
idea
on?
for anybody who wants to start a punk string quartet and call it Sound Hole. I won't even be mad. Because I'm lazy.
Can do it. It's screaming out for it. I mean,
I took listening to both the new record by Sleeping Souls and by New Pagans. I must say they are just really fucking good. I truly enjoy them. Who are your influences? Like what were you listening to at the time while you're recording and writing?
I think New Pagans is early 90s band. Like, I love Fugazi and Nirvana and sort of Fugazi was kind of my sort of, after Minor Threat was my sort of go-to band, because Fugazi are more melodic than Minor Threat, and so that was my big sort of band. And then Nirvana. New Pagans is more influenced by like Sonic Youth and, especially Will Lindsay's vocal and just sort of all those cool indie bands. I love Dinosaur Jr. and, so there's wee elements of all that in there. I think with Sleeping Souls, I'm a huge Radiohead fan. So like Radiohead, a bit of Plostos. I love Rocket from Crypt and stuff like that. So there's the the John Reese Downstrokes and the fucking some of the songs and that sort of was across the board in New Pagans and Souls, but also in the softer side of Souls. That's like Death Cab for Cutie, Radiohead, that kind of vibe. We're all big fans. I mean, you go through that record and go, oh, that sounds like that, and we wear our sort of influences really on our sleeves, really. I think that's important. I think it's important to let people know where you sort of come from, I saw Nirvana when I was 15. It was my first ever concert, 1992 in the King's Hall in Belfast, and it was the day before my 15th birthday. It was my first ever show, and it was Nirvana, Teenage Fan Club, and the Breeders. It was fucking awesome. I was just a young kid who had started listening to guitar bands like Jane's Addiction and Fugazi and stuff like that. And it was a friend of mine's big brother kind of got me into that sort of thing. Before that, I was listening to like the Erasure and sort of British sort of pop bands, electro bands. I was a massive fan of like, hooky melody, and it just fucking always loved that. So I went to this Nirvana gig, and I'd heard bits and pieces of Nirvana. I had a friend of mine had given me like Bleach on tape, and I thought there was a few Mudhoney songs at the end of it, and a few sort of Sonic Youth things, and I was just like, could be into this, and I went to the gig, and it fucking changed my life. I was like, fuck. And there's so many sort of people from Northern Ireland that went on to be in bands or start magazines or whatever that were at that show. Like Tim Wheeler from Ash. It was such a gig that, I mean, it just changed everybody's mind about fucking music. You're just like, what? It's had such an impact on the world, those couple of years, those early 90s, a couple of years. It had such an impact on the world. And as a teenager at the time, I was just like fucking swept up on it, loved it. I mean, you're just passing at that time as well, you're just passing around cassette tapes of band. Everyone's like, oh, have you heard this? Yeah, I remember getting like Stone Temple Pilots Core on like fucking tape, way before it came out. And I was like, the fuck are these guys? And this scene was just kind of like snowballing, you know what I mean? The whole fucking thing. And being in Ireland, it was hard to sort of keep up with it because there's no internet and there was no. Oh, it was more exciting because it gave scenes that were coming out, space to breathe, actually grow and to actually establish themselves, so fucking amazing. And so that changed my mind. I was just like, if Nirvana was the biggest influence, I immediately started learning guitar badly, like Kurt, what the fuck? Well, the guitar was an extension of his fucking angst rather than, I'm going to sit and learn fucking Stairway to Heaven or, Paradise City. I want my guitar to vomit. You know what I mean? That was the fucking lure from Nirvana. You know what I mean? That was the fucking thing. I'm caught hook, line, and sinker, man. Like, you know what I mean?
I have a buddy named, well, I don't want here, but he went to high school with Dave Grohl or middle school or something like that. Well, apparently Dave Grohl was like a huge dick, and he used to pick on him like so much and bully him. And then years go by, Dave Grohl moved to Seattle, then Scream happened, then Nirvana happened. Somebody said, hey, you should come see Dave play. He has been on Nirvana playing in DC. And my friend went, no, fuck, I don't want that. But he ended up going out there anyway. It was like right before, I think it was right before Bleach came out or something. And after the show went, they asked him, hey, what do you think of the Nirvana show? He went, they're fucking terrible. They're not going to make it at all. I don't see them surviving. Lo and behold.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, for me, it was weird because, your idea of what punk rock is like, everybody's idea of punk rock's different, I think. You know what I mean? And then there's like, bands that are punk rock, there's American punk rock, there's British punk rock, there's all the things in between. They were punk rock, and so for me, that was my punk rock. I was like, Fugazi was the gateway in, but Nirvana absolutely smashed it for me. You know what I mean? I mean, you think of Nirvana, you don't think of punk rock, you think of grunge, right? Which I'm like, what the fuck is grunge? Even at the time, we were like, what the fuck? Because it was punk rock to us. We were like, fucking punk rock, and you're like, fuck is grunge? And still to this day, fuck is grunge? Is grunge Creed? Is that, is it that shit? What the fuck is that? Because, yes, Nirvana kicked open the door, but like corporate American fucking record label closed the door hard by, what was that other fucking band? The British band? Fucking Gavin Rossendale, what were they called?
Bush. That was Bush.
What a load of shit. I mean, Creed, Bush, all that fucking late 90s shit was the worst. Everybody on our sort of thing going on. Because in the UK at the time, Britpop was taking off, so you had like Oasis and Blur, which also I kind of wasn't into. I was like, fucking shit. And then, of course, I became like I did become like a Blur fan. I always hated Oasis. Always thought they were fucking yawn fest, you know. But I liked Blur because they were more experimental and they kind of moved. I was more into Radiohead around that time anyway. But you know, we had all that going on, but America was losing its fucking mind over Bush, and we were like, which is like a parody band of what Nirvana and all were doing and Pearl Jam and stuff like that. We're doing in the early 90s, you know. And we were like, yo, on, this is fucking terrible. And like, I have to say, one of my favorite record that came out in that era, you know, is Soundgarden's Super Unknown. That's essentially my generation's Led Zeppelin. You know what? The same kind of effect that Led Zeppelin had on, you know, people in the late 70s and stuff. Essentially, Soundgarden's Super Unknown had that effect on me. Like, I love Bad Motorfinger. I love Down on the Upside. And, you know, we were always there in the background. Jesus Christ Code and all that. Cool. But Super Unknown is, I still listen to it today, and it's fucking flawless. It's such a great rock record. It's like classic shit. Classic rock shit. You know, puts all the rest of that shit to shame. I'm just like, and they were sort of late on the, you know, becoming like a big band, you know. It was like 94, wasn't it, when they had a big hit with Black Hole Sun, and so that record came out around then, and so it was kind of the end of that scene anyway. But you know, that record for me, it's fucking beaut, absolute beaut.
You killed me with that glycerin thing because I did not realize how boring and bad of a song that was until I sang it at karaoke, and I'm like, oh, I just sing the same note the entire time. That's all this is. Just one note. It's like one note samba, but worse.
Also, what the fuck is he singing? What the fuck? What is he on? At the time, I remember going, they're fucking crazy. But they were huge. They were such a massive band. You know, fucking swings and roundabouts. It's their own fucking... there's still Bush fans out there, and Gavin's a hottie.
Now, with the music you were into at the time, us being around the same age, did you get super into like imports and bootlegs and all that stuff? Was that like part of the trading stuff around then? Oh, I missed that. That takes me back.
So there was like a shop in our town, right? I'm from Derry, right, in Northern Ireland, right? There was a shop in our town called Trash, right? And you could go into Trash, and Trash would have like, you know, Nirvana gigs on 12-inch bootlegs, you know what I mean? Pardon me. And so I go up there, and somebody was like, oh, there's another Nirvana, and I go up every week and just fucking try and get my hands on Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. You know, anything I could get my hands on coming in from the state, live shows on bootleg, on vinyl, I would do my best. I have like a fucking, they're not in this room, but I have loads of fucking old school bootleg vinyl, just gigs on vinyl. I was obsessed with that shit. I remember going, right, so in between, this is a fucking fun fact, in between Nevermind and Incesticide, because they put Incesticide out after Nevermind, right, it was their massive. They did a double A side with the Jesus Buzzard, right, Nirvana. It was a song called Oh the Guilt. And like no one, so Nevermind had blown up, fucking huge. And then I think this sort of split single was already sort of planned pre them becoming the biggest band in the fucking world. And so this single came out, Oh the Guilt. And I remember I was reading about it, and I was like, fuck. And so I got on the bus. I remember I ditched school. I got on the bus because I knew it wasn't going to come to Derry, but I knew if it went to Belfast, I knew there was a record store up there. I can't remember now what it was called. I knew they would get it. So I fucking got back school, got on the bus, sat on the bus like fucking 2.5 hours up to Belfast. And I got there and I ran to the record store, got on the door, and I got Nirvana and Jesus Buzzard or Oh the Guilt, and he was like, there were 6 copies. Got to Northern Ireland, and you just missed the last one 5 minutes ago. I was like so fucking angry. I was like, shit. You know, it was like fucking 16-year-old me, fucking long hair, combats and shit, cracking up the fucking record store, like back on the ball and get fucking home. And I was just like empty-handed. Didn't even, because usually I would go, all right, okay, and I would look for something else. I didn't even look for anything else. I just fucking left. I was so disgusted. And I just got up, I got them. And I remember years later, I got my hands on a copy, and I remember like hearing the song with the guilt, because where were you going to hear it? I couldn't even hear the song. It wasn't like a going Spotify. I'll listen to it on Spotify. You couldn't fucking hear it. So I didn't know what the song sounded like either. So it took me fucking ages before I actually got to hear "Oh the Guilt" itself as a song, which is a bit Nirvana song, but you want to know. I always loved their previous album release, the B-sides and stuff like that. Love that about band. I'm like, oh, I've never heard the song before.
Yes.
I love their like that, So.
All right, I think it's time for us to move on to our favorite quickfire game.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Guys, motherfucker.
Oh, okay. I'm on. Rise, motherfucker. Right, I'm down. Is this got anything to do with Dexter? Right?
It might be vaguely related to some show.
Rise,
that,
motherfucker. That ass, motherfucker. I fucking love that shit. That's brilliant. Right. I'm on.
But it is spelled motherfucker because it's Ian Brand.
Yeah, motherfucker. Right.
What are your Mount Rushmore, your top 4 Radiohead albums?
My top 4 Radiohead album. Number 1 is In Rainbows. Absolutely love it. Fucking amazing. Number 2 would be the band's OK Computer, and then Moonshaped Pool. My top 4 Radiohead albums. I mean, Kid A and all are great, but I think the songwriting on those records all their records are better. I think it's a better. In Rainbows for me, I think is their best record they've ever written. I mean, everyone goes OK Computer, the sort of thing. In Rainbows for me is just the fucking shit. I love it. It's like super unknown. I still listen to it today. Like stick it on, and I'm just like, I'll listen to the whole fucking thing, and I'm just like, there's not a bad song on that record. It's awesome. Like, there you go. That's my Mount Rushmore of Radiohead.
What's your Mount Rushmore of fears of things happening to guitars on tour?
Fuck right. Okay. Right. Number 1 has to be like absolute catastrophic failure, a guitar breaking in half, which has happened. Frank has broken guitars on tour, and I'm like, no, you can nearly see in slow motion my fucking no, right, because that's the fucking end. Freaking end. And it's happened a few times, But yes, like a guitar breaking, physically breaking, a neck snapping, or a headstock breaking, or like you can kind of deal with a body breaking, but like if you break a neck or a headstock or whatever, you fuck. So that's number 1. Number 2 is some kind of electronic failure, which has also happened many times, like an input jack fucking just being tore off or something like that. That's a fucking disaster. I mean, I always have backup guitars, so it's not too bad. It's just like I'm thinking of the headache the next day of repairing it and getting it back into the working order. Next would be like, I don't know, something like a fucking, and this has happened before. Torrent smashed a peg winder or a tuning peg off his bass. He used to do this thing where he'd slam the bass head, turn it on the stage, and of course one day I was like, I'm like, no, I'm gonna have to find it because I don't have a spare one, in case I can't get one the next day. But yeah, that would be like a tuning peg or something, going fucking AWOL. And the last one would be Frank's acoustic guitar loses one of his little pins that holds the strings in, like a little, and that has happened probably the most. He breaks a string and then the little fucking peg shoots out, and I have to fucking find it. I always carry spares, but sometimes if we're away doing like a solo show, I won't bring me bag of spares, and I'll be like, I have to try and find something to cram into the fucking to keep the string in there. And that's a wood and all, I'm just fucking hammering on it, but I was stringing. But then if that breaks, fucking nightmare. So those are my top 4. Other things can go wrong, and you know what? I'll just deal with it when it happens, or a strap breaking or something like that.
What are your musical guilty pleasures?
Erasure, British 80s British electro pop. I was a huge Erasure fan when I was a kid. Before I got into like band and fucking, punk rock and rock music and whatever, I was into like fucking Erasure. House hardcore Erasure. I still am. That's my guilty. That's like my guilty pleasure. I'd still whack on Erasure. But ABBA. See that sort of electro pop music, so good. And I have to say, it's like I'd be surprised that there aren't more people who are like that's your guilty pleasure. But I also, I'll listen to bits and pieces of like a few years ago. It's a long time ago now, actually. But I lived in Nashville for a while when I was recording an album with Fighting with Fire, my old band, and I didn't really know a lot about country music. But when I got to Nashville, I did the record there in a place called Blackbird Studio with Nick Rastulinix, who did Deftones and Alice in Chains and the Foo Fighters and stuff like that, and he was fucking great. But like country music, didn't really know a lot about it. So country music then became my sort of guilty pleasure. I was there. I was writing songs with people. I was getting into the sort of songwriting circles in Nashville and writing songs and stuff. People were just introduced me to this country music that my granny listened. That I always be like, "What the fuck is this shit, granny?" I was getting onto. I was like, right, okay. So I mean, yeah, definitely sort of older country music stuff that I don't really listen to anymore. But occasionally when it comes on, I go. And people will be like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" And what else? I suppose dance music. I was huge on the dance music. So like, and I know this is cheesy as fuck, but the Prodigy, when the Prodigy first came out in the sort of late '80s, I was like their number one fan. I was just like, I fucking love the Prodigy. And then when they sort of became sort of how do you describe it? A techno punk band. I was like, yeah. I mean, like, it's so fucking cheesy, right? It's like, totally, but I fucking love them. And then I went on to love Soul Wax and stuff like that there. I mean, I suppose that is my guilty pleasure, Soul Wax, fucking great. But yeah, I was always on the dance. So I always had that sort of side of things as well as the sort of rock side of things, Good pop music, I think, is the fuck.
This is my last one, but when you come to the States, what are the weird U.S. foods that you are looking forward to eating while you're going around on tour that you don't get over there?
Here's the bottom fucking line, right? Mexican food is amazing. You can't get Mexican food here. It's impossible. I don't know why. I don't fucking know why, right? But when I go to the US, I just overload on Mexican food because it's fucking great. I'm just like, "Argh." I had like tacos fucking 3 days in a row. I'm just fucking bloated. My bunk on the bus is a fucking disgrace. It's out of control. Everybody's like, "Cahir, stop eating tacos." I'm like, fuck off, right? Because I'm going home in like 3 days. I'm not going to see any Mexican food for like fucking month and a half. So fuck you guys. And I'm just fucking horsing tacos under myself. Twice in a day I had fucking tacos as well. Everyone's like, "Dude, Jesus." But fucking their eyes, there's tears coming out of their eyes. It's a fucking nightmare. It's a fucking fart alley in the bus. It's a nightmare. Everyone's crying. No one's happy except me. So Mexican food for me is like a fucking, when I get to the US, that's it. That's the only thing. Everything else can fuck off. Like, it doesn't matter. I can get everything else here, right? Can't get good Mexican food here. It's impossible. I don't know why. I mean, if anyone in Ireland wants to start a Mexican restaurant and actually bring real Mexican food to Ireland, fucking do it, because I know the queues will be out the door. There's so many people here that are like, "I've been to the States, I've tasted good Mexican food, I've been to Mexico, I've tasted the real deal." And they're just like, "Why can this not travel?" And if you go to London, you're not finding good Mexican food either. It's fucking terrible. People say Mexican restaurant, we're going to Mexican restaurant, you go there and it's fucking bullshit. I'm like, what? Just saying, just throwing it out there. Going to America, I'm just interested in Mexican food. I'm not interested, I know. Bottom line.
I have one more question with this. Just if my favorite interview of all time. Now, this was the funniest question. It's a two-parter. Who do you want to see the Sleeping Souls tour with next? And when are we touring together?
I don't fucking know. I'm easy, right? I'm the easy person in the band because I'm just happy to be on the stage playing songs, right? So I'm like, yeah, David Souls have got more shows coming up soon. That's all I can say at this point. Pardon me. But we would love to. I don't know when we'll ever tour the States. I suppose a band that I would love to tour with is Death Cab for Cutie. Like in the States, I would love to. I mean, I'm a huge Death Cab for Cutie fan, probably more so than anyone else in the Beatles, but I fucking love them. But I think it would be a good fit because we like Death Cab. We've got sort of rockier things and then slower things. I think it would be a nice fit. But that, and then anytime, Ian, you want to jump on a fucking show with us, punk, any fucking time, kid. That's when we're touring together. Anytime you want. If we're there and we're doing a show, let's do it.
100% down for that. This has been such a pleasure having you on here, and I truly thank you. We both really enjoyed this.
The pleasure is all mine, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's been fun.
This show is the brainchild of Black Guy Fawkes folk punk griot. You can find him on all the social medias as Black Guy Fawkes or Black Guy Fawkes Music, as well as on Bandcamp. Merch, music, and ticket sales are how independent music gets sustained, but word of mouth also helps a great deal. The intro and outro are both from the song New American Meltdown by Black Guy Fawkes, so that's legally covered because this is his podcast, and that is his song available on the album Life, Love, and the Bomb. Additional music elements provided by Ben Dumb Production Music. Check out more at bdmusicproduction.com for all your bespoke royalty-free background music needs. Sound design and editing by Ed Cunard, who appears courtesy of his dog and many, many cats. Cover art by Jacob Matthews, a pal who has been down since day one. Finally, while Fawkes and Friends firmly believes that punk rock is and should be a safe space, we know it can't be safe for everyone without excluding bad elements. So remember,
So tell your local Nazis and your fascists to fuck off.
Ian, do you want to handle the intro this time?
I'll let you handle it.
Yeah, you let me handle it. Okay, sounds good. Cahir. Oh, I better do the last name too. O'Doherty. Did I get that?
O'Doherty, yeah.
Doherty. Cahir.
Yeah.
O'Doherty. O'Doherty.
Doherty, yeah.
Okay, Cahir O'Doherty.
That's the one.
That's okay. We'll do this. I think this is why Ian had me do it because he wants to watch if I fumble. He likes when I mess stuff up.